as a father of three daughters, I love the origin of this book and working with your daughter, your child. And what I know our audience captured, but I just kind of want to underscore, and if you have anything to add to it, is that here you have, as your words, a white male, Grateful Dead fan.
I now say middle-aged, a white middle-aged
Okay.
male.
Okay. Or as we've said on this podcast, middle-aged, pale, and male.
Yes, there we go.
And your daughter, who's mixed race marriage, she's in healthcare, she's a physician, highly accomplished in the medical world, super smart, as we say up in New England. On face value, maybe demographically very disparate, but the core values are completely harmonious. Interest
100%.
interest in this world of neurological intelligence and being able to connect and using the science and creating fandom and the why behind it all. To me, everything that you shared is rich, but that origin kind of foments it even more.
And Seth, you have daughters, so you would totally get it. The working with her on that book brought us together in so many interesting ways, and it was such a valuable experience. I know she would agree for both of us to have worked for a couple of years to create this book. She was in medical school at the time.
Oh, she was just getting her medical degree while writing a book.
Getting a medical degree and just happened to write a Wall Street Journal best-selling book while she was getting her medical degree, right?
Excuse me while I'm on my way to take my boards and get certified as a physician.
Right. I have to
talk to my publisher on the way.
I think it's hilarious. I remember the phone call. I called her up. I happened to be speaking at a Tony Robbins event, and it was like 6 a.m. The Wall Street Journal came out. Holy cow! We made the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. So I called her. It was a West Coast speech, so she was up and said, "Please sit down." "Oh, what happened, Daddy?" "You are a Wall Street Journal bestselling author," I said to her, and there was dead silence on the other end of the phone. I said, "Hello?" She goes, "What?"
She's like, "You're distracting me. I'm studying for molecular biology right now."
But here's something really I thought was fascinating about us coming together to write this book. When we first started writing Fanocracy, we were writing it in one voice, kind of a neutral, mixed voice of, she was I think she was 26 and I was in my 50s, white guy and mixed race woman and a Harry Potter lover and a Grateful Dead lover, kind of ram them together into one voice. And it wasn't working. We couldn't figure out, why isn't this working? And finally it dawned on us that we were kind of sanding down all the rough bits and making it too
neutered.
Neutered. Great word, neutered. So what we ended up doing was rewrite. We didn't have to rewrite the whole thing, but rewriting the book essentially, where she wrote her chapters, I wrote my chapters, she wrote in her voice, I wrote in my voice. And we actually have, like it says, like chapter 3 by David, chapter 4 by Reiko. And it worked way, 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 way better. And also because she's a better writer than me, it worked on that level too. But I found that to be really interesting. And I'm not trying to build in a lesson for meeting planners and everything I say, but what I found interesting there was my personality and her personality coming out made the book way better than if we had tried to make it neutral. But I've seen many, especially corporate events, where the public relations department gets involved with the speeches and insists that certain language be, I'll use your word, neutered. You can't say that. You should say this. This is our talking point for that. This is our talking point for this. So you go to XYZ company's annual conference, and maybe there's one outside keynoter that Seth books for you, but then you've got all of these corporate people delivering neutered, love the word, neutered talks that are saying essentially the same thing using the same language, which is kind of what our Fanocracy book was in the beginning, until we said, all right, you're a human and an individual and very different than me as a human individual. So let's put those two things out there. And I think it's a way better conference if the meeting planners of corporations can work with the corporate speakers and get them to let it out there. Tell us who you are. What do you love about what you do? Don't just tell us your talking points. people will be bored to tears.
Yeah, and my feeling on that is you're making the investment, you're bringing somebody in specifically for that. Don't neuter or don't
Yeah.
sandpaper down. I'll use your term, and kind of politically correctify who they
Yes.
are. Is it a risk? I don't think it's a huge risk, but I think it's what's going to distinguish meetings and meeting professionals. The work they might need to do, David, is stand firm and make the case and
Right.
embody and inhabit why we want that spark, that new voice, or that unique voice rather. We're not talking about coming out and a rebellion and
Right.
overthrow the king type of thing, but you know br-
No.
bringing in something that's provocative and isn't so right up the middle is where is the reason for bringing in a speaker to have their voice shine and put a spotlight on what they have to say in their own way. Of course, you, David, you inhabit the messaging, the initiatives, the mood, the culture, what's all happening, but still down the core is the essence is your take on things.
I think that's right, and, yeah, of course, I'm gonna talk to the meeting planner. Of course, I'm gonna find out what the goals of the event are. Of course, I'm going to bring that in, but I think it's also important for the internal speakers, and that's where I see the biggest breakdown is when the
Yeah.
internal speakers, they bring the CEO, the CMO, maybe I don't know, the chief revenue officer, whoever the
I've heard,
right
I've,
people
I've
are.
seen the chief legal officer come out,
Yeah, and they all tell essentially using the same talking points, essentially the same story. I've seen great, great corporate meetings when they choose someone who's a great speaker and who has a fabulous message, like take somebody out of, say, the R&D department who's like a mad scientist type who is building the products, who's like tinkering away and who's maybe the hair isn't combed
right.
perfectly and
It's
maybe
like
they.
Bill Nye, their version of Bill Nye the Science Guy or
Yeah,
something.
bring
Yeah.
that person on and
Yeah.
turn them on and don't give them any talking points. Let them I mean, rehearse them, make sure that they've got a good talk, but I want to hear from them. I don't want to hear from just the C-level people and have them deliver their public relations department approved messages.